Hello everyone, this is Venom, and we are back with another Destiny 2 video. Today I want to talk about episodes, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not liking the way episodes are structured, and I'm not really liking the way they're going right now. Now, before we get too far into the weeds, I want to go ahead and make sure that everyone understands where I'm coming from, and where I'm standing as far as Final Shape goes, and as far as the future of Destiny 2. Again, I absolutely love Final Shape. There are a few things I would change in Final Shape if I could. I'm going to go ahead and put out a video talking about that here in a little bit. However, as standalone content and as the end of the Light and Dark Saga, I think Final Shape was a great ending to the Light and Dark Saga, and as far as the story portions of episodes, I am interested in sticking around. However, come to find out exactly what I thought was going to be the case, episodes are nothing more than glorified seasons, and unfortunately, it looks like episodes have even less content or less story than seasons do, so far going off of what we've seen in Echoes. Now, just to remind people what we used to have as far as seasons go, we used to have 4 seasons a year. They would last typically for 3 months. Of course, the Season of the Wish, the last season we had, lasted much longer because of the delay for Final Shape, but typically every year we would get 4 seasons. Each season would have its own little story that would be in it, and then we'd go to the next one, and then we'd have our big DLC, at the beginning of the year. However, Bungie's recently said they wanted to move over to episodic content, which all of us were asking, what's the difference between episodes and seasons? Now, we're only going to be getting 3 episodes per year versus 4 seasons per year, and all of us assumed that those episodes were essentially going to be like seasons. Each week we're going to have some kind of mission we have to do, each week we'd progress the story, and then after the end of however many weeks, 3 months basically, or 4 months, we'd have the big conclusion of that episode. Now, we assumed we'd have something like that, or similar enough to it, because that's how seasons were structured. Each season would start with, the opening mission, we get an idea what's going on, and then every week we'd build on the story more and more and more. On top of that, we'd have a seasonal activity or 2. Oftentimes an exotic mission would be coming out for it as well, and that'd be kind of linked to the season, and we would build every single week until about, maybe the 4th or 3rd to last week we'd get the final mission for it, and then we go on a couple more weeks, and then there might be like a secret final mission for the end of that season. Now, keep in mind, the community as a whole has not really liked seasons because they haven't really liked the time gate. Now, you can go both ways as far as how you feel with the time gate. Some people say, we shouldn't have time-gated activities. Let us go ahead and complete the entire story in a day if we want to. Some people say that people are going to complain if they do that. Personally, I'm in the encampment of, I say release all the story at once. If I want to go through the entire story in a day or 2, that's my prerogative. If I don't necessarily want to have to come back every week to play it. But I understand both sides of the argument, but I am always in favor of more choice for players and not less choice. Now, with episodes coming out, we were under no, and I should say by we, I was under no assumptions that we would be able to play the entire episode in one shot, and in fact, it looks like each episode is going to be divided up into acts 1, 2, and 3. Now, silly me, I thought that much like seasons, each week we'd be building on the story more and more and more. However, we just found out there's going to be a gap between Act 1 and Act 2 of 3 weeks. So basically, Final Shape and Echoes only been out for a couple weeks. Final Shape's been out for 3, so we only got a couple weeks worth of content, and now we're going to have a 3-week break between acts in this episode. That essentially means that if we have each episode 3 weeks of activities or 3 weeks of stories, then a 3-week break, 3 weeks of activities, 3-week story, on and on and on. If we have 3 acts and 3 weeks in between each act, that is 18 weeks per episode. Okay, that rounds out to about 56 weeks. That's basically all 3 episodes per year. That means that if I'm going off of Echoes, we're gonna get 3 weeks of activities, 3 weeks of nothing, on and off again the entire year. This is so much worse than seasons, it's not even funny. Now, if I didn't like the seasonal model because of the time gating issue, then I loathe the episodic model because there's much more time gating going on. Again, 3 weeks of story and then 3 weeks of nothing. Again, that's going to be that way every single year. That means basically half of the year of Destiny, we're going to have no new content coming out. Now, again, I'm not saying that we should have DLC-sized content coming out every week, but again, we've been used to at least a seasonal model of content where we have some kind of updated story every week, except for, say, the last couple weeks of a season. Every week, we're getting something new. That was Bungie's entire reason for having seasonal content. Now they've gone to episodic content because they want to have, several small stories throughout the year, but all they've really done is taken out half the content we were getting. It looks like the episodic model is just them saying we don't want to do as much work before. We blew our entire load on Final Shape. Now for episodes coming out, we got some good ideas, but the stories probably aren't too fleshed out, so we're gonna, only give you half the time with them. Now, before we continue, I will be the first to admit that this is a knee-jerk reaction to the break in between these different acts. I will also admit that this could just be something that we're doing for Echoes. It could be, although it is very unlikely, but it could be that for Revenant and for Heresy, that those acts are going to be a little bit different. I highly doubt it, though. Pretty much whatever we see with the Echoes model here for the episodes is more likely what we're going to be getting. Now, it could be that they're going to have these episodes more fleshed out once we get closer to them, because Bungie did have to use a lot of resources to get the Final Shape ready to go. They've got a bit more time to work on those future episodes, so it could be that they're going to be a bit more fleshed out. I anticipate the backlash Bungie's going to get. They're probably going to address it at some point, but I honestly don't see the future episodes being much different structurally than that we're getting right now, and that means we're going to be getting 3 weeks of story, 3 weeks of nothing. 3 weeks of story, 3 weeks of nothing. Now, the new activity, don't get me wrong, I actually like it. It goes by pretty quick. You got a decent amount of loot. There's some side stuff you can do in it, so if we get more activities like that, I like that. I didn't necessarily like the coil because it felt like it went a little bit long to me, but that's just me. That's just, every seasonal activity is different. Some are hits, some are misses. Typically, they're just different versions of run through, do this, and get you loot at the end, but I am liking the seasonal activities this season for some reason. I don't know why, but I am enjoying it. Now, I will also admit, too, that I am a bit biased because Echoes, out of the 3 episodes coming out this year, Echoes is the one I was looking forward to the least. Now, Revenant and especially Heresy, both look amazing. The Vampire Hunter theme coming out for Revenant looks really great. I can't wait to do that. I can't wait to put on some of that Eris Morn themed armor. And I especially cannot wait, and I know a lot of D1 players cannot wait to go back to the Dreadnought. And I'm pretty sure, in fact, it wouldn't, I mean, it's very obvious that Bungie spaced these out and put them in the order they did for a reason. I mean, if you had to choose one place to go back to, I think most D1 players would say the Dreadnought. And if you lined all 3 episodes up and I said, which episode would you want to do, or what you want to have if you can only have one, everybody would say, we want Heresy. We want to go back to the Dreadnought. So it makes sense they put that at the end of the year, kind of as a teaser, kind of as a way to dangle that for the Destiny 2 players to keep their numbers up, which, again, if I was running the company, I would do that too. But, again, even as much as I'm looking forward to that, if the story model we're seeing right now is anything to go by, I may just wait till the end of some of these episodes to play. There are plenty of other games out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you can't play other games. I more likely will be doing so as well. Again, I'm still liking Final Shape. I've gotten through the raid. I'm about to start doing the Grandmasters they just released today. Yesterday. So I cannot wait to dive into those. I am enjoying the content out right now, and I've still only barely scratched the surface of Prismatic. I've actually got a bunch of build videos that are going to be coming out here soon. I have just been really enjoying my time with it before I start making videos on it, which is something that I was forgetting to do for a little bit. I don't want to burn out on this making videos, but I do want to make sure I'm sticking to that like I mentioned before. But that being said, as of right now, I am really not liking the episodic model. So hopefully we get a change with that, except I don't know what change we could possibly get with this at this point. The stories are pretty much going to be written. So aside from maybe giving us like half of what we're getting each week already, which isn't much, I don't know what else Bungie could possibly do to change up these stories. So I doubt they're going to be able to do anything like fit additional episodes in. Bungie may end up going back to the seasonal model. I don't know. I think Bungie's been so used to using seasons as a crutch for so long that whatever they come up with is just going to be more of a spin on the seasonal model. Now, seasons can actually work. Don't get me wrong. I think the big complaint was that we had to wait each week for content to come out. Now, there was a vocal, I don't know if it was a minority or the majority, but there was quite a few people that were complaining that people were complaining that they were going through the content too fast. Now, don't get me wrong, I would prefer to go through the content in a day or two than wait for 6 weeks to get it done. Granted, yeah, I probably wouldn't have anything to do after that for a little bit, but I've also got other games to play too. And if you don't have other games to play besides Destiny 2, I can understand while not having content would probably upset you. But it's a live service game. There's only going to be so much content that comes out for it. So you can't really expect that to be a constant. I mean, I play other games and there's not like a constant stream of content. You can't do that. I mean, I play Final Fantasy 14, the DLC for it's coming out here on Friday. I can't wait for. I'm playing the Elden Ring DLC right now, which is kicking my ass, and it's great. Power World just had an update, or is about to have an update tomorrow, I think. So I've still got our server up for that one. So make sure if you want to check that out, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of where the live service trap comes into, that you're constantly trying to put out content. And unfortunately, there's not much you can do outside the seasonal model. The biggest things for the seasonal model that I hated, though, like I said, is just that you were time gated on it, and that a lot of the content coming out was in the form of Everburst items. So getting rid of the Everburst items, or giving us more ways to earn stuff in Everburst, and letting us finish the story at our own pace versus weekly, I think would have probably alleviated a lot of those issues. In fact, you could probably put out a couple more seasons per year if you did so. I mean, a lot of the stories weren't like game breaking or anything too big. You can make some small stories and make them seasonal, and it would be just fine. I mean, you can make a 2-month season with like a small story, like, you know, hey, Mithrax's long lost brother came back and you gotta hunt him down or something crazy. You don't gotta make, you know, world ending calamities every season. It could just be small stories and that's, I believe, what Bungie wants to do with episodes. But like I said, they're spacing it out way too much. They're taking what they were doing with the seasonal model and they're cranking it up to 11 as far as how long it takes to get stuff. Like, it's taken 3 weeks, and Saint has only just now been taken over, and that's where they let off with. That's the cover for the season of Echoes, that Saint had been taken over. All we've seen so far is like one scene of Saint being taken over, and nobody knows what's going on right now. It's been 3 weeks of Failsafe saying, hey, Nessus is changing, even though you don't really see Nessus changing. They keep saying it's changing. It looks exactly the same when you go to it. Now, in the seasonal activity, yeah, it looks a bit different. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So that's just my 2 cents on the episodic model right now. There is a bit of a backlash coming out from players right now that they are actually seeing that it is going to be a 3-week break between the acts. Again, I don't necessarily like the acts. I do like that the season pass goes per act, so I do like that it doesn't stop at 100. We do get more items after Act 1. I do like that because usually I'm at about level 200 by the end of a season, so it is nice that I can earn some additional things. But as far as the pacing is completely off for this season. And again, I keep saying season, all an act is a season, so I'm just going to probably use them interchangeably. But yeah, the pacing's way off for this. Again, I do like the seasonal activity. I have liked the gear, I have liked the weapons, all that is cool. The only thing I do not like about this is definitely going to be the pacing. I can't even talk about the story right now because not enough of the story has come out for me to really make a judgment. So that's... After 3 weeks, that's pretty bad. So that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you all for coming by. Please leave a like on the video if you like what we're doing. Please sub if you love what we're doing, and I will see you all on the next video.